give me that, give me that, give me that, give me that, give me that. Where's my money? Stay over there.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are here again on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. We're bringing you another episode. That is episode 9, season 3 of the Hard Zone. My name is Derek Yale, and as always, I would like to encourage you to please follow the network on your individual social media pages. And the network to follow is the Liberia Radio and Television Network, or LRTN Live, on Facebook and YouTube as well. So for today's episode, we have, as always, a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political persuasions, and here we bring you discussions and analysis on political and social economic trends in Liberia. And we have a very engaging episode. We have our team of panelists here ready to bring you all of what they have and their positions on different political topics. So, as way of disclaimer, all of the opinions and position offered here on this show and this network is that of the individual panelists and not that of the network. So, it is not the position of the network LRTN. But as always, let me bring you the current events from the diaspora. We have one current event from the diaspora, and then we have a couple of events from current events from Liberia. Beginning with sanctions on the United States of America has imposed entry restrictions on more Nigerians for undermining the democratic process during the African Nations 2023 election cycle. And that sanction was announced by U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken on Monday of this week. These individuals that were imposed sanction on have been involved in intimidation of voters through threats and physical violence, the manipulation of vote results, and other activity that undermines Nigeria's democratic process. And these actions is the latest in a series of visa restrictions imposed on Nigerian individuals in recent years. So the imposition of sanctions on those that cause disturbances for the elections in Nigeria was announced on Monday, and that is the only development we have for as far as current event is concerned in the diaspora. Moving on to Liberia, the president of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah, left the country on Saturday, May 27, 2023, for the inauguration of just elected Nigeria's president. So, President Weah left Liberia on Saturday, May 27, for the inauguration of Nigeria President-elect Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja. So the president is currently the president left the country on May 27, 2023. Moving on to our next current event in Liberia, the hope for our lone presidential aspirant or presidential hopeful Magdala Cooper this week endorsed fixer one that is Ambassador Jose Yumambwaka.
No, rescue one.
Rescue one. I'm sorry. Thank you. So, all hope to have a female presidential candidate in the pending October 10, 2023 elections has come to an end as the lone female presidential aspirant, Magdala Cooper, endorsed the presidential bid of former Vice President Jose Yumambwaka, Rescue One, as he is often called. So, Madam Cooper has endorsed the Unity Party presidential pick, or the standard bearer for the Unity Party, Jose Imambwaka. And the next current event here, and this is the one that we will transition over to our team of panelists to get their opinion on it, and then we will take a break and get into our discussion for the night. The government of Liberia loses appeal in $100 million cocaine trial. So I would like to have my team of panelists to give their take on this. What does it mean for our fight against the use of illicit drugs in Liberia? So the story goes as follows. The Ministry of Justice attempt to halt the enforcement of a judgment of acquittal in favor of the 4 defendants in the U.S. $100 million cocaine case issued by criminal court C at the Temple of Justice, and that had proven unsuccessful as the Supreme Court declined to issue the requested writ of prohibition. So we talked about this on our last episode, and now I have my team of panelists to give their view on that, on the government of Liberia losing that appeal in this $100 million trust case. But before I do that, let me take this time to welcome our audience. This is the Horizon. Here, there's no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. I'm the moderator for the night. My name is Derek Yale, and I have with me in the panelist Blow J Choppy Charlie, J Mawolo, Reverend Adid, and Mr. Ja Winkin. We are for the night. So let me start with you, Blow J Choppy Charlie. Welcome to another episode and talk to us about the government losing the $100 million case, just case in Liberia.
Yeah, I say again, good evening to everybody. Tom Zone, I'm wearing a fellowship again on the western side of Liberia. The drug case, for me, I try to look at what happened. I do not a lawyer, but I try to look at it through the prison of the law. And one has to ask himself some deeper question to appreciate why the case went the way it went. And it was a jury case. The verdict came from the jury. I assume the jury did what has been done mainly in the United States and many other Western countries, where the jury engaged in what is characterized as jury nullification. That is, if the evidence is not sufficient to show that the accused were guilty, and maybe for some other reason, the jury nullified and allow the accuser to walk. In this case, from what was being said about it, those who were in the courtroom, and based on the public records, it seemed that the police rushed to make an arrest, and the arrest allow. I'm just saying based on what has been the public record. The police rushed to make an arrest, and that arrest did not lead to the actual culprit, the actual people who brought the drugs into the country. And so, because there was no evidence to show those who were accused as guilty, but there's no evidence to show that they brought the drugs in, there's no record to show that they imported the container, the goods. There's no link between them and the container. They only went to purchase what they were told by some people that would have fish in a container, come and buy the fish. And they went to buy that fish, thinking it was fish in the container, and not knowing it was something else. And so, because of that lack of evidence to prove against those accusers, the jury, said they had to walk. And so they walk. I mean, it may be shocking to many people because we're not familiar with most of these cases around the world. About this, in drug cases, these things always happen. But a drug cartel is a deeper cartel. It's a very well organized group of crime people, and they know how to do their things. So I think it was just one of the cases where a blind runner was used. Those guys were just blind runners, but they were not the
Thank you.
actual people who committed those crimes.
Thank you very much, Blow J Choppy Charlie. And let me get and welcome to another episode of the Horizon. But now let me take you, Mr. Ja Winkin. We are talking to us about the government of Liberia losing the $100 million just case.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Welcome, fellow panelists. Well, the rule of law has taken the course in the Liberian context. Those accused of being adjudged not guilty, whether we like the verdict or not, but that is what we have in our country. So we should respect the outcome of the court. Having said that, I think that tells that we get more work to do in Liberia. Like what Blow just said, before arresting anybody, before accusing anybody, I guess, whether the drugs want to continue, those who send a container to Liberia, there should be documentation to that effect. I don't know whether the police officers and those that were handling the case have access to all of the documentation, because somebody, whether the container came from America or not, there should be a documentation to say who is the sender and who is the recipient of the container. before it can be clear. I don't know whether that was done. I have no idea, so I don't want to speak to that. But what I have to say is this: that is the outcome of our court. We should respect the rule of law, whether we like it or not. That is my take.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai Winkin. We are, and as always, is a pleasure having you here, and welcome to another episode of the High Zone. Now, let me take you, Mr. J. Mawolo. Give us your take on the government losing the $100 million just case.
Well, listen. Good evening, gentlemen. I don't see no lady here. The ladies in the back. Good evening, also. Uh, Listen. This is sad for our country. One of my specialty in school is national security, and when people hear about national security, they only think about police and soldier business. No, it's more than that. Far more than that.
See, I lost audio.
Can you hear me
You,
okay now?
you, you can hear me?
Very low.
Do I need to speak louder? Can you hear me better now?
I mean, I
Copy.
can hear you.
Uh,
I mean, I can hear you loud and clear.
all
Yeah,
right.
Right.
I do.
I think the problem is with his machine. Uh, this national security embarrassment for our country, which could lead to several other things happening to us. This drug business didn't just happen overnight. The American DEA followed that drug from the source all the way to Liberia. They told the NSA and the security system that the drug was coming, what it was coming on, and they followed it all the way to the warehouse it was going to. They were there present when the drugs were arrested. For somebody to come and tell me that they made mistake with the people who you got to be, I don't know what cloud you on. The American security system don't work that way. If they follow it from the source, they know who all were involved from the source, and they know who all were involved in Liberia. And I think the way the case went was intentional. It got nothing to do with the justice. Look, we're now a sophisticated society. Certain things just don't work. But when it comes to our national security, where it's look, the people who traffic in cocaine and all that kind of stuff, the first thing, cocaine is too expensive for our market. Only a few people can afford the price of cocaine in our country. So the people don't waste their time with that kind of market. That thing was in transit going somewhere else. The people who traffic in those things, they are very vicious. $100 million ain't no small money. So if these people lost that kind of money in Liberia, whoever is responsible will have to pay for it. And they got to pay for it one way or another, or somebody will die.
Mm.
That's why you don't play with this kind of stuff. Besides, the ripple effect to our children. Because if the cocaine, $100 million worth, can just be thrown in the breeze, what do you think about the marijuana and the what they call the other one, kush, or whatever they bring it in? So what this thing has done is put us in a bad place. We have become a drug trafficking country. And do you know what they do? Our citizens going to be embarrassed by that. Countries going to be refusing to get our citizens visa. They're going to carry our people through all kind of checks, having dog check them and things. I mean, just all kind of humiliation from in the world, and the
Mr.
economic effect it's going to have to our country. So this is very, 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 very bad for our country. Very, very bad. And the government is involved. There is no way $100 million, even if it were 10 million, will enter the country and the government would just be so lackadaisical about it. That is a lie. Even in the most dysfunctional government, it can't happen. And
Thank
these
you.
people know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mawolo. I want to ask you a question about a very specific just case when it seems like it was intentional.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us what is the possible intent, and do you want to expand more on that?
Well, when I say it was intentional, because there were people who were informed of its arrival, and people were involved with its storage and transit through Liberia.
Mhm.
These people are powerful people. They're just not anybody. So the case was intentional because if you got to investigate that case properly, those people will have to be called, and that's not going to happen.
Okay.
So to get rid of the case, you create a smoke screen, and then we say the justice has taken its course. But no, there was no justice. It
Yeah,
was
but for those
intentional.
that were arrested though, so I mean that's the
That's
proof
why I'm
now.
telling you about smoke screen.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. J. Mawolo. Now, Bishop Hager, let me welcome you to episode 9, season 3 of the Hard Zone. And we just transitioned from our current event topic on the government of Liberia losing the $100 million just case. So we're getting the panelist opinion on that. So I just wanted to fill you in on that. But let me take Reverend Addy, and then I will give you time for us to come back to you on that topic. Reverend Addy, give us your take on the discussion.
You know what is very disappointing is the wide-ranging implication of our international image, and I couldn't agree with Mr. Mowell even more. That we will tout a failed justice system as justice taking its course, when in fact the individuals, one Liberian, one Portuguese, Lebanese national, and another individual from Guinea-Bissau, all fled the country. If they were so innocent, why did they leave? Do they really expect us to believe that $100 million worth of drugs, followed by $40 million worth of drugs, just back to back, didn't have the hands of the government involved? Liberians aren't stupid, and neither the international community people stupid. Let's be very clear. Musa Dane, during the Gloria Scott case, told the Senate when they asked him questions pertaining to those drugs and guns, he stated that they were in the hands of our international partners. Who hands were they in? The US government, who invested their resources to track this drug that was purportedly smuggled from Brazil. Thank God for the American government. I want to use this platform to publicly thank the American taxpayers for using their entities to help safeguard the society that is so being wrecked and destroyed under this administration of a very inept government. We are not stupid. Liberian people are very smart. Not to mention the Americans. Do you really think they don't know that the company that brought in the drugs and whose involvement participated in it? So for us to sit here and tout our justice system has taken its course because jurors came together and made a decision, it's a complete joke. It's a complete joke. This has embarrassed us. It is shameful, and that is why this government needs to go. They are not ready to lead. This is a government of gangsters that are leading our country. Unfortunately, we are at a very critical juncture, and Liberians will have to make a decision come October 10th. They may either choose to keep a government of gangsterism, or they can choose to bring men and women that will lead Liberia for the greater good of our country. Not a government that is consistently using illicit means to generate funds, printing $64 billion, and the country has no accounting of it, but they can be giving that money for elections. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, and I'll never publicly sit on any platform and praise our justice system for such a colossal failure to have these were arrested. And it's sadly, as I close, For Musa Dane to say, "Oh, let's rearrest these individuals when they four of them have escaped the country." Stop
and
playing
they,
with us.
and
We
they
are serious
escape. I
people.
guess they disappear because they had to go through some of the borders to escape.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, Thank you, Reverend Adi. Before I come to you, Bishop Hager, I would like to come back to you, Mr. John Winkin Weir, because I think two of the panelists have disagreed to your statement about justice
Yes.
taking your course. Do you want to clarify that, or
No, no.
you want me?
Yes, I maintain that stance. It is different to talk about the incompetence of the government. Even here in the United States, you have a lot of disappointment in outcome of cases, including the guy who was killed in Florida. What is the name? Oh, the guy who got a hood on his head. You guys help me. Everybody knows that that guy killed him.
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, he
No,
was a
no,
young
it's
guy.
the kid.
He was a young guy that was killed by
Yeah.
the in
Hmm.
Florida. I forgot
Oh
the
yeah,
guy.
yeah, by that white guy, that
Yeah,
young boy.
yeah, that young boy. Everybody saw that guy killing him.
No, we didn't see him killing him.
No,
We
okay, okay,
heard
you don't
that he
see, but people
came.
saw it. People, I mean, what I'm
Saw
trying to
the
say here,
saw the video.
people saw the video, people killing. But what I'm saying, in short, at the end of the day, the juror said the guy was not guilty. As painful it was, that was accepted. But here is what is very, very, very important for all of us to recognize. To talk about the weird government being incompetent is a different thing. There is no way for us to prove as to whether those who serve on a jury were bribed to come up with such a verdict. The evidence is not there. At the same time, there is no way for us to know, as I said earlier, if there is any transit, if there is any like anything that goes to Liberia, there are documentation. You got people who named listed, people supposed to receive it, people supposed to send it. I have no details on that. The only thing that we are talking about here is about those that were arrested based on whatever. Were they the same people who have their name listed on the documentation in question? There is no way for me to verify that. At the same time, the jury system all over the world, including America, can come up with verdicts that can be very disappointing. But what I'm saying here is that whether you like our present judges or not, but because we don't have any proof to the contrary, that is the verdict of the jury of Liberia. I'm not talking about whether they left the country or not, but I'm talking about the trial itself, the case itself, how they left the country, who gave them the opportunity to leave. It's a different thing. But when it comes to the dispensation of justice here, do people want to court? You can't blame those who left the country. They were trial and went to court. Your justice didn't say they were free. You should let the jurors. So what I am saying in short, we should take the administration of okay, how do I say the whole administration of government system, because I know we got three branches of government. WIA does not control those who are the judges. I want to believe, and those who are judges, if they have dignity, if they love the country, then they should do better.
You sure you support your one gonglo? Did you ask him?
Let
I,
our
I do
Maybe
I,
you
I,
are thinking the
let
same
I do
thing.
I do I, I do support I do support Gongo. Even if you're gonna add Gongo, Gongo will criticize the process.
guys,
But
let's
that is the outcome of it. You accept the
guys,
outcome. You can criticize the process, you accept the outcome. It's
you've
like
made
it's like Trump still rejecting that the election was not free and fair, even though he went to court. But that's the outcome of the court. Until you change that system, you should accept what you have. That's the outcome of the court. We should respect our court system. We know our court system is not right, but this is why we have election. We need to change this to put somebody in power that will strengthen the rule of law in the country. But this is what we have. This is the outcome of our court system. So we should respect that as such.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Let me
Jawi.
let me let me
Mr. Jawi.
let me
Let's
just
not
add up quickly.
Bloody,
That,
let's not
no,
get carried away. This is just the current event
no,
discussion.
no, I know,
Before
but just
before I take your rebuttal, I strong please, Bloody, just hold
I
on to the
wanted
line.
to add on to Jawiken and
Can you
I
do
assume
that
that
on a
because
30 second? Can you do that on a 30
yeah,
second? Because I have to take the last panelist. Go
two
ahead.
quick points. One, the idea that people escape the country. This myth. These people are based. The people don't live in Liberia. They were businessmen who came to Liberia to do business. So if they were free by the code, you expect them to still be in Liberia. They don't live there, they have to leave. They were free men, so they did not escape. There was nothing criminal about them
The,
leaving the country. They were free.
the
So let's
Liberian
establish
guy
that
escaped.
fact. No, they
The
had not
Liberian guy
escaped.
escaped.
They were free by the
The
court.
Liberian
They
guy
were
ran
free.
away. So why he ran away? In Liberia, you
No, they did
move.
not run away. They were free. They were not guilty. They were left free. So the characterization that they escaped is false. And this is the kind of negative romanticism about good government that will continue to feed. The second point I wanted to make was that this idea that Liberia image is damaged because of drugs. Liberia is not exporting the drug. It was not Liberia that exported this drug to the country, to another country that they'll be checking out or doing mad. The drug came from somewhere. So if anything, where the drugs came from, it is our country that should be checked, not Liberia, who is a victim of the drug. So this characterization has to be pushed back. The myth has to be ripped apart. Liberia is not exporting drug. Again, if having drug in a country make a country shameful and bad, then America is a bad country.
Thank you
America
very
is a
much, Bloody.
disgraceful country.
Let's now take you, Bishop Hicker. I'm sorry for the wait, but give us your take on the government of Liberia losing the $100 million just case.
The whole government a job pushing government. From the president down to all the ministers, they form part of the job pusher. And listen to me, it's not yet over. You listen to the US ambassador, they think they're playing with fire. We're waiting for election. After the election, when the incompetent job pushing people are out of office, we're going to rearrest them. We know the real people behind that drug thing. The evidence are there and they will go to jail. They are going to pay for their wickedness. Don't tell me under no condition. Listening to this, I don't know, Zirius Bloje. Look into Liberia. 400,000 of our young people have become Zogo because of drugs, and you trying to defend people who were clearly arrested with evidence of damaging the future of Liberians, and yet because you're trying to put your I don't know whoever party into good life, that thing is a total disgrace for Liberia. In fact, the government had a responsibility. It has national security implication. They can appeal that case. They can hold the people. That's the government, the executive, they can keep people in jail. It doesn't have okay, only today, there are people that the judges in Liberia have told the government to release. Why when they told Janet, Kabbalah Janet, that man that was impeded, told them to reinstate the man. Why didn't the government say, okay, we accept the judge's decision, let the man be reinstated, let's pay the man? Then they told the man, they said that the man right must be restored and the money must be given to him. Have the government committed to that judge decision? And then you were gonna tell me because they're big hand, they are here inside, so they allow the people to go. But they will pay for the aid. They will pay for it. You guys, they are joking. But we're ready for them. They are so job pusher in our government. That's my
Thank you.
take on it.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagar, and those of you watching us. This is the Horizon. This is here. There's no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. But that was just the current event or discussion. But for now, we will take a very brief break, and what you can expect when we come back. PYJ responded to the Vice President, Joel Howard Taylor, and also we will get into the CPP pick as a fixer to Charlene Branskin. So you can look forward to us having those conversations tonight. But for now, let's take a very brief break, and when we come back, we will get right into our discussion.
At Fatu's, we know what it's like to feel a little homesick. That's why we work hard to bring you the very best and freshest imported foods and supplies from home. With quality design African cloths, beauty supplies, and tasty African food items, you'll feel right at home. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Fatu's African International Market for all of your household and family needs. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching us from. This is the Liberia Radio and Television Network, and you are here again on episode 9, season 3 of the High Zone. And here, on the High Zone, there's no gimmick, there's no fluff, just real talk. And we have a team of panelists here from different political institutions and different political persuasion. On this episode tonight, we are having some very interesting conversation, and as you have seen in our introduction part, we talk about the government of Liberia losing the $100 million case, uh, and we have our panelists give you their position on that and the take. So we will transition right into the senator from Nipmuc County, Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson being on the news again for responding to VP Taylor and branding her son as Ozoko. So again, before we get back to the panelists, let me encourage all of you, wherever you're watching us from, to please share the program on your individual social media pages and follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network, or LRT Live for short. So follow the network, encourage your friends and family to do so, and also share the program so that they too can be a part of this discussion. And by being a part of this discussion, feel free to leave us your feedback and also your contribution to the discussion in the comment section, and we will be sure to highlight it during the show. But for now, let's get our panelists back, and we will get right into our discussion. Before I transition over to PYJ being on the news, I'd like to come back to you, Bloj, because our last panelist, Bishop Hagar, directly call your name. If you don't have any rebuttal to him, I will go right into our next discussion. But if you do, I'll let to give you the opportunity to do that. Are you with us?
Connection, I
Lord, you
guess.
muted.
Bloj, can you hear me? You're muted.
Let me progress.
Yeah, yeah, I'm hearing you, but it's really heavily down here right now.
Okay, so
I'm hearing you.
do you want me to give you the opportunity to respond to Bishop Hagar, because he mentioned you directly when he was giving his take on the current event discussion?
I didn't get Mr. Hagar properly because I'm trying to readjust.
Okay, well, in that case, let's transition right into the PYJ discussion. And guys, I'm sure most of you have seen the video. I think it was last Sunday when PYJ responded to VP Taylor over what we discussed last week. So I'd like to have
Okay.
an open panel discussion on that, so you guys can tell me what you think. And again, PYJ being on the news, branding the VP Taylor's son as Zogo, and also throwing some attacks at the just recently picked Vice Senate Bureau of CPP, Charlene Bronsky, and the CPP did respond to that in the press statement. So I'd like for us to have
Yeah,
an open roundtable discussion on that. So since you're live, Blojo, let me get your take on that first. Talk to us about PYJ being on the news
yeah.
again.
I think what PYJ is showing are all signs of mental deficit, as a mental health problem. PYJ is showing, I think, after a long period of bloodletting and moving around the country, it's finally bearing on Prince Johnson. He's displaying all these war, the traumatic syndrome. If one listens to Prince Johnson very carefully, there's something he says that people need to take consideration of to tell how confused he is. He talks about Charles Taylor giving him permission to attack Joel Howard Taylor. He talked about Charles Taylor giving him permission to say the things that he was saying. One would think, why is Prince Johnson now howling on the name of Charles Taylor? Is he so scared? Is he confused? That alone exposes him as a mentally deranged person, and I think we'll leave it at that, because echoing the things he said will only be uplifting insanity But he has a true answer in the coming elections in Lima County, where I can show you where our South Prince Johnson is. Now he has chosen to be a member of the squandering team. They will be defeated in Lima County, and that will be the end of Mr. Prince Johnson political career in Liberia.
Thank you very much, Blue Jay Choppy Charlie. Let me just go in the line and take Bishop Hager next. Talk to us about the father of the County of Rescue 2 being on the news again for attacking the Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. What is your take on that, Bishop Hager?
Prince Johnson was not attacking. Prince Johnson was responding. She went on the attack. But let me put it this way. If you have a political party calling people warlord or rebel or whatever name they want to ascribe to people, we have the young people going to a place of worship to start people in the name of expressing their political view. And you have a political party in official response say that it was the right of the people, the young people, to express their political view. You have what we call incompetent and particularly people who just don't understand the issue of leadership. I will quote the U.S. ambassador who said that nonsense must not happen again. That nonsense should not happen again. Let me tell the CDC, they do not have the monopoly over violence. If people can express their political opinion in other people's churches, the opposition have the ability to go to anybody, anywhere to express their political opinion. So they should be careful what kind of tactics do you want to use. Because if you are living in a glass hole, don't throw stone. Joel Howard Taylor have no moral right, no moral quality to come and speak to Prince Johnson on calling him whatever name she calling him. If I was Joel, I respect her. She would just be quiet. She knows what the CDC government did to her the first 3 years. She know what happened to her. And where she is right now, she know if after October she will come and start appealing to people in the place because they will be massively defeated at the poll. So what Prince Johnson said, Prince Johnson know Joel Taylor, they know Taylor, they know each other. All the atrocity that Taylor committed there, Joel was drinking champagne while Taylor was committing atrocity there. If she's the one that can tell Prince Johnson, can teach Prince Johnson what? To tell Prince Johnson what? Joel, you live in America, you're a civilized woman. Don't get yourself involved in those things. I would just remain quiet. If she really mean well for Liberia, I respect her very well. She shouldn't go to that level. So Prince Johnson responded just natural. If maybe she had forgotten, let me remind her that she was part of the blood sharing. She was there with Charles Taylor when atrocity was being committed. And I see the CDC people talking here today about Prince Johnson being. You have a vice president who married to the warlord and she killed thousands of Liberians. You aren't talking anything but talking about Prince Johnson. That's a shame. Listen, the TRC said reconciliation. If you want to bring, you have 5 years to bring the how to call it, the war crime code. Even though some of you, I will quote, this guy you're calling crazy man, but He been saying it over and over that George Weah supported Model. He gave Model money in Africa, we get evidence. And now nobody clean in that country. So you stop preaching the moral ground. When you yourself you have your hand in the cookie jar, don't start talking about who took something from the cookie jar. Then everybody's story will come out. So
Yeah,
Prince Johnson was right when he said when his response was completely right, normal.
So he was in the right. That was the question I'm about to ask you. So you're saying
Yeah.
Prince Johnson was in the right to
You are
respond
responding
to
to Joel Taylor.
to
Joel
respond.
started everything.
Okay, but let me ask you this question though, and tell me if you agree or disagree. The CPP did release a press statement where they basically said Prince Johnson is a false prophet, and the Liberia National Pastoral Network for Peace this week call on Nima County Senator and Evangelist Prince Johnson to maintain the biblical mandate and sacredness of the Holy Pulpit in the discharge of his
He will
pastoral
go to Forget Club. Those
responsibility.
stupid
Let,
pastors.
let,
He will
let
go
me
to Forget Club and
let
tell
me
Forget
let
Club.
me
He will not
let me
use if
let me
no.
Bishop
That
Hager,
nonsense cannot work here.
Bishop
Let him
Hager,
go and tell Forget Club Church. All that nonsense can be talking about. Let him go tell him. Who are they, by the way? What will make them to be the spokesman for the pastoral network? You young boys are looking for money, put themselves together and can't talk nonsense on radio. Who will listen to that nonsense? Who are they? What credentials they have?
So wait, are you disagreeing with them that Prince Johnson should
I
keep
don't even know that. I don't recognize them on what. If they want to be honest, transparent, they must tell George we are here for good church to start talking politics and talking nonsense as well. What? What's
So
that?
they call on him to keep the public secret. Do you agree
Why
with
they
that?
mention George Weah?
Or you're saying they should include George Weah as well?
They should go to Forget Club Church and tell him not to be talking that nonsense he be talking there.
Will
Like
you
we don't
call
belong to John Weah alone.
will you call on Prince Johnson? You personally, will you call on Prince Johnson to keep the public secret? Do
If
you
they
think he's
come to somebody's church to get attacking there, you must not talk in the church. You must shut up away. If they come to your church and talk again attacking there, you will talk in your church.
okay? Thank you
That's
very much.
it.
Now, thank you very much, Bishop Hager. Now let's move on to you, Mr. J. Mawolo. Talk to us. I mean, you've heard Blow J, you've heard Bishop Hager, but I want you specifically to address the issue with Prince Johnson being on the news again, attacking the VP or Vice
That means the
President
word attack.
Roy
You were
Howard Taylor.
responding to this. You were
Attack
responding.
responding.
No responding. Don't say attack. If she
The
started it,
Okay, let me ask the question, Mr.
Well,
Mawolo. Give us a take on it.
well, I don't even know why we're going back to this thing. I addressed it last week.
Well, he did it again, so we're here talking about it.
These two people involved are all hooligans, and I don't really know who did what here. It's possible that the CDC sent those people to Prince Johnson's place. It is possible that Prince Johnson could have set it up himself just to look for attention. Listen, Prince Johnson don't travel alone. He never travels alone. For those people to be allowed with placards in their hand, saying things against Prince Johnson and walk all the way to his church, it's unreal to me. Even if there were no fighting, they were going to stop them at the gate. For
Mr.
them
Mawolo,
to,
I'm sorry, but we did talk about the protest last week. We're discussing Prince Johnson's response. This week, on Sunday, he responded to VP Taylor where he called her son Ozoko, and he also threw some very harsh words to
well, yeah,
fix her
if
too.
you're talking about what he said
Mhm.
this Sunday, that's a completely different thing. What he called her son Zogo,
Right,
and Cummings gay, and Charlene lesbian, and
right.
all that nonsense. Listen, Prince Johnson. Look, I don't know who believes Prince Johnson in this country anymore. I don't know who believes him. This man has been talking the same nonsense since. Look, the truth is that Prince Johnson has no place in the political arrangement of this country. He shouldn't have been. He should not be. I just hope that these American people should get mad enough to start arresting some of these people in that country. Look, these people have done enough damage. And Prince Johnson, I can guarantee him, we will be on his case until he do what he got to do with himself.
Thank you, Mr.
Because we're not
Mawolo.
going to leave him alone. He said it enough.
Mhm.
He lied enough. He used the puppet enough. He and the George Weah, and we're not going to spare one hair on his head. We will deal with him appropriately for what he did and what he said, and he will regret it. He already rushed to Spoon to go apologize to Charlene. But we're not taking no apology because he's not crazy. He says it at his choosing. And so he will attune for what he says. And now
Thank you very
I
much.
about y'all.
Thank
I
you.
mean, how to go in
Let me
Prince John.
let me just squeeze this question in. Though, speaking of Prince Johnson doing and saying everything that he said on the pulpit. Now we have a bishop here and Reverend Addy. Now, what do you think about that, especially given the sanctity of the pulpit? Would you personally condemn Prince Johnson for using that space to throw all those things he said about people, Mr. Mawolo?
You are asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you directly. Would you condemn Prince Johnson for using the pulpit?
Oh yeah. To spread lies and innuendos? Yes. He
All right,
shouldn't
thank you.
have.
Thank you. Let me take Reverend Addy on this, and then I'll come to you or Mr. Jawin we are next. Reverend Addy, talk to us about
You have
PY.
to come to me. You have to come to me as
If
after.
if you have a rebuttal, I will definitely come to you if we have time.
But
Reverend Addy, talk to us.
you can take Bishop Hager. I'll come after Bishop Hager if you want, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Hey, the unity of other people. I sense the unity, but go ahead, Bishop Hager, your rebuttal.
Listen, we have to be as honest here. We want the places of worship to be places that will promote peace, unity, and togetherness. We have to look at things in context and don't just look at one aspect. If you listen to everything that Prince Johnson said, at the end he said we want peace in this country. We want everything to be peaceful. You can have your disagreements.
Everybody up.
We want peace in this country. So the interview there, all his statements are recorded. So please just don't look at one aspect of it. He was being physical, emotional. His life was being put at risk. Whether we like Prince Johnson or whether he's a warlord or not, Prince Johnson is a Liberian, and nobody have the right. If they have any quarrel with him, they can go through the legal process. That's what he said. For people to go and then for other people to stand there and start to describe him.
So why don't you go to the legal process to address George Weah? Why don't you go to the legal process to raise issue with George Weah? Why don't you go to court and you sit back and say all the worst things about George Weah? Why don't you go to court?
I will go to court.
Let me
You say we should not call on Prince Johnson behavior. We should go through legal process. Why are you not doing the same thing with George Weah?
Well, I'm making the statement that the pastor and whatever pastor.
I'm saying to you, you're saying we should ignore Prince Johnson. That's why his behavior. We should ignore him. Why are you not ignoring George Weah and go to court?
What do you know what I'm doing, Liberia?
let me take Reverend Addy, and then I will come back for rebuttal. Reverend Addy, give us your take on this PYJ issue.
Amos 5:24 says, "Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. The pulpit can be used to speak truth to power from the perspective of justice and righteousness. It must never be used as a place of vulgarity, profanity. The civility of our politics have reached an all-time low. I condemned seriously what is being heard from both Prince Johnson and that of our president, who have consistently desecrated the pulpit by the vulgarity the languages that they've used from behind the pulpit. That is unacceptable and must not be used. But certainly one can argue we're in a political season and these things will continue to happen. What is unfortunate is we aren't discussing substance, we're attacking personalities. We're not discussing politics, we're denigrating individuals that are contesting these elections, and we are throwing out words that can be incendiary and prompt a reaction. And thus, two wrongs can make a right. So I think I'll like to publicly use this platform to encourage Mr. Johnson, the president, to stop misusing the pulpit. But certainly, throughout the Bible, you will see that prophets spoke truth to powers. When they were governing wrongly, they spoke truth to power. So the pulpit can be used. Right in America, Dr. Martin Luther King changed America from a very small church, a Baptist church. From the pulpit, he spoke about justice, and that was one of his favorite scripture. So yes, the pulpit can be used to speak truth to power, to correct the moral decadence of our society, especially exonerated by this government. And the truth remains that, everybody needs to stop and focus on how to convince the hearts and minds of the Liberian people, as opposed to wishing that Joseph Parker be dead, or Cummings is gay, or Charlene is lesbian, none of which is, quite frankly, advancing the ideological differences among us to qualify them for the presidency of Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. I have a question for you, but I will come back after I take Mr. Jawink and Weah. Mr. Weah and Mr. Weah, give us your take on PYJ being on the news again.
Look, here is what I can say. In Liberia, it is not raining, but we are drowning for bad behaviors. There is no fire, but the country is burning with injustice. I see Blowjay criticizing Prince Johnson today, but I don't think he would have done that if he was still with Weah.
I've always criticized Prince Johnson, so let's get the record straight. I've always criticized him.
Let's protect Mr. Weah.
Okay,
No, I'm gonna set the record straight. I've always criticized. He mentioned me, so I have to respond.
All right. So what I can
I'll give
say
you the
is
time to
this:
respond. Let's protect him. Go ahead.
I know very well that we are all seeking a face of God. Whether you are a pastor, whether you are an individual, whether you are a Buddhist, whether you are a Christian, everybody has a judgment day. We are talking Liberia today. The problem we have in the country, for example, with Prince Johnson, he hasn't come up boldly to admit to the Liberian people the atrocity is committed, some of which I have witnessed under the cotton tree.
Repentant murder.
But to demonize others or to talk about child stealer, I will expect Mr. Johnson to come up clean. If he claimed to be acting on the Spirit of God or by the power of the Holy Ghost as he claims, he should first of all apologize to the Liberian people for the atrocity he caused, for the killing he did. Right in Monrovia, at the Freeport of Monrovia as well. Those who went to look for food, Prince Johnson killed them. Even though he looted the whole of Freeport, but he said these people want to loot, so he killed them. But what I can say in the whole thing, Liberia, for all of us, we need somebody, all of us need to enforce the law where everybody will be equal. But in order to enforce the law to mark a new beginning in Liberia, we should reconcile. People need to admit the atrocity they commit, including Mr. Johnson and all others. Joy Howard Taylor as well. She was the wife of Taylor.
So that's a
Because
crime. So that's a crime.
no, it's not what I'm saying. She was the wife of Taylor. I don't know whether she advised Taylor.
So that's a crime.
She never condemned the atrocity Taylor committed when she was the first lady.
So that's a so you as a criminal because of marriage are still.
She's not a criminal because of marriage, but she never commented on those stuff. She welcomed the killing that Taylor did because I remember very well. She was the first lady.
When she welcomed those killing, when?
Say that again. Let me
When
finish.
she welcomed those, when she
Let let
welcomed Taylor killing
let
people.
let, let,
Let me
let him
finish.
finish.
No, we need to correct the records now.
Yeah. But she
You will
Don't
never,
have
let
the
it keep
chance to
slide.
do so, bro. You will
she
have the chance to
never,
do
she
so.
never. If you Howard Taylor loved Liberia, she wouldn't have married the Taylor who killed Liberian people. That's a
That's
patriarchy,
not a bad thing.
in my opinion. Yes, that's my opinion. Okay, because you can marry to a killer and claim to love your country. But what I'm saying here, yeah, she was in power in 1987 when Taylor just took power. 97 rather. When Taylor killed Doki, a wife and children, right at that checkpoint junction. They were all there. We renewed the war in Liberia. I reported that story when I was working for Inquirer. But
So Toki was fighting war that
OJ,
killed other people
OJ,
there.
let
Local family
let
were important too.
no.
let's
Here
allow
is the
him to
point.
finish,
Here
OJ.
is the point. I don't want to go back there. Taylor was already president. He was welcome.
So
Doki,
what Toki was doing there? Toki want to go. What Toki want to go do there?
Doki went to get married. He was
Get
going to
married
get
where?
married. Taylor was president. You are going. Ask anybody. If you were there, you will know the story. But this is what I'm saying. You will have what Taylor wasting all of these things. I got more details about what happened in the world because I was a frontline reporter in Liberia. I was arrested several times by Castro Jacob, by all these people in Bangladesh. I know what happened. But what I'm saying in short here, all those who killed people in Liberia, like Prince Johnson should apologize to the Liberian people. I'm not doubting that he's a man of God, but he should admit to it, like, he should apologize for the atrocity he committed. But for what happened between the both of them, including Mrs. Taylor too, because she was part of she married to somebody who killed people and she never committed. She benefited from it as well. That's my opinion. That's my honest opinion. So for both of them, I really don't have admiration for any of them, both Taylor and Johnson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. We are in guys. We have exhausted the time for this segment, so we'll take a very brief break. When we come back, we will talk about fixer number two. Charlene Brownskin was announced the running mate for CPP or Alexander behind the comment. So we'll take a very brief break, and when we come back, we will talk more about that. Again, this is the Hard Zone. My name is Derek Yaller. For now, let's take a very brief break, and we will see you after the break.
Maintaining your vehicle can be a major investment. That's why, here at Brothers Auto Care, we pride ourselves on providing professional and reliable auto care at affordable rates. Whether you need an inspection, new brakes, or diagnostic reports, our skillful and experienced mechanics are here for you every step of the way. Call Brothers Auto Care now to schedule your next auto maintenance and repair service. At Brothers Auto Care, we help you drive home with peace of mind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Yale, and the program here is the Hazon episode episode 9, season 3. I'm sorry. Uh, Again, I urge you all to continue to follow the network. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network, and also to please share the program on your social media page on Facebook or YouTube or whatever social media page you are on. The network to follow is LRTN Live, and the program to share is the Hazon. I'm here. I'm your moderator, Derek. My name is Derek Yale. And let me encourage you to leave your feedback and your participation in the comment section as we get right into our next discussion. On May 27, 2023, CPP took over Grand Bassa County. The county, Grand Bassa County, the city is Buchanan City, and the specific venue is Fairground, where the political leader of the Alternative National Congress and the standard bearer of ANC and the political leader of CPP in Elizana Cummings
Very
announced
wrong.
his run, announced his running mate Charlene Bronskin as officially fixer two. So me and my team of panelists will have that discussion. We will talk about the ceremony. We will talk about that ticket, just as we did for JNB and Cone ticket, and uh, we'll talk about that ticket and talk about what it could mean for the Liberian people. So we'll have a full scale discussion on Fixer One and Fixer Two. So let me begin this conversation by encouraging those of you in the comment, those of you watching us, to leave us your take on that ticket in the comment section, and we will now get right into our discussion. Let's talk about the ceremony. I would like to start with you, Mr. J. Mawolo. Talk to us about that occasion, that ceremony when uh, Arizona Cummings announced Shalane Brunskin as his running mate. Let's talk about that. Give us an overview of it.
Listen, just to imagine that ceremony puts goosebumps on me all over again. Look, there was a procedure there. Mr. Cummings have been having meetings, and the vetting team have presented some names. Um, I think I said on this show before the name was announced, I said Yombly won't be a good fit for Cummings. At the time, everybody were talking about Yombly. I said Yombly doesn't have what Cummings is looking for in somebody, but he would do it for political expediency. It happened that he said that he would allow it if that would bring the Unity Party together as one. He was ready to do that. He was ready to overwork himself to make sure Unity Party come together. Yombly, for whatever reason, said that Dylan was her spokesman. And when it came the last minute, she withdrew. I think it was a good thing that happened. Because yes, I would support Mr. Cummings. Yes, I would support the CPP. But I would be very iffy about it if it was Yombly. Because the kind of work ethic that Cummings has, Yombly couldn't stand it for 1 year. And we're going to be a problem. And so I was glorified. I was so happy when he chose Charlene, because I know that here is somebody who is up to his standard when it comes to work, and somebody who young enough to be trained. And so the program in Buchanan started from the point where Mr. Cummings, after he chose her, she herself said that she was not interested in being vice standard bearer and all of that, and they had to go through a whole process. And Mr. Cummings put her aside. Look, when wisdom is working, it's a wonderful thing. He pushed her aside and wanted to speak to the Bassa people themselves. He called the Bassa leaders to a meeting, the chiefs and things, and asked them what do they think of his decision. And then they called her in the room. And then she was busy pointing out other people. People said, no, the man talking about you. And we think you can represent us. That broke her. When she agreed, before they decided the day of the to have the thing, and that 2 weeks that they gave from Nimba, it took them 1 week to plan that ceremony in Buchanan, because it took her that long to go through the process. Because after she agreed, then she had to go tell the people where she was running for representative. that she was going to a higher ticket. And those people had to be okay with that. So all of that happened in a week. And then the program was organized. But God in heaven knows. I mean, anybody can be political and say, what, that was a beautiful program. It was colorful. It accomplished the goal. And the Basel people saw their daughter that they saw grow up right in front of their eyes, being named the next vice president of the Republic of Liberia. I wish her dad was there. I wish her dad was there, but her mom came just for that. Her mom came and was there and testified to her upbringing and to what everybody who knew her knew already. That was a beautiful program. I think there couldn't be a wiser choice. I think Mr. Cummings is a wise man. Like I told him in a text, I said, whatever decision you make, I stand with you 100%. In fact, 1,000% because I trust your mind. And that choice was the best thing that happened for us. Nobody was expecting it. It blindsided everybody. And here we are. And all of you watch her these past few days. In fact, since that day. And I'm sure if you want to speak on a patriotic stance, you're proud of a Liberian woman, that dignified, that eloquent, that competent. She's not a lawyer for nothing. I would choose her to be my lawyer any day. She is good. She is damn good. And I'm proud of her.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. J. Maulo. And I don't think we could have had any better description of that program than you just did. So thank you very much for that. But let me now come to you, Bishop Hager. I see you smiling a lot. I don't know if it's any agreement or disagreement with what Mr. J. Maulo said, but talk to us. If you watched the program, talk to us about the ceremony that Alexander Cummings announced Charlene Brunskin, your Bassa sister, as his running mate. Talk to us about that event.
Listen, we Bassa people, I'm 100% Bassa. Number 4. We are grateful that Bassa become the political epicenter in Liberia. And people are now really looking to the Bassa people to be the kingmaker. We are appreciated for that. Charlene is a very competent, qualified young Liberian lady. Everybody know we are not disputing her credential. We're not disputing the credential of Alexander Cummings. I always have said, for a Liberian to come in corporate America.
Bishop Hager, I'm sorry.
I'm laying a foundation to work his way up to be second in Coca-Cola. We commend him. I appreciate every good Liberian who worked their way up. The CPP, Alexander Cummings, congratulations. What our position is today. When Cummings selected Jeremiah Solonte, he was a qualified man. He had a big ceremony. The field, Morovia, was inundated with massive turnover of people. Everybody saw the crowd. But during the day of the voting, Cummings did not get the numbers. I'm not here to discredit Charlotte. She qualified, she competent. Cummings qualified, competent. Me, I just came from Liberia. Look at the political temperature equation there. One-time vote, Joseph Boaga, George, we had a history. Period. That's where I stand. Because
did you watch the ceremony?
The ceremony was great, was wonderful, was powerful. I don't have problem with ceremony. Listen, I don't have time for those ceremonies. I'm talking about the numbers. And I don't see. That's my stand.
Well, you well,
Let's wait
but
for
let me
October.
ask you this question though: do you think the Barca people turn out for that ticket? Given you watched the ceremony, how was the attendance?
The attendance was impressive. They have the party machinery. Other people say people were trucked into in Grand Bassa. I don't have time for that. I mean,
Would you
in terms of the
say?
competence,
Which is, we will come to that. We will come to that.
in
I'm
terms
trying
of
to
the
get.
competence,
Would
the
you, in
choice.
your opinion, do you think?
Listen,
Or
listen. Where I stand today,
mhm.
I have a video that I'm going to put online tomorrow. My position is why I'm supporting Joseph Boaga because I believe you have the number right now.
Mhm.
Any Liberia right now, any opposition leaders are million times better than that corrupt,
I
incompetent
want to
CDC.
hold
That's
you
my
to an.
position.
I want to
That's
hold
it.
you to. I want to hold you. You're about the numbers game. I want to hold you to an answer here. When it
Yes.
comes to Grand Bassa County now, in your opinion, who do you think own Grand Bassa County, CPP or Unity Party? Let me get an answer out of you, Bishop Hagan.
No, I can't speak on that. But what I know,
So if
October, Grand Basel going to vote for Unity Party. If you allow Joseph Boaka to go to Grand Basel and compare the numbers, then we will see who get numbers.
thank you.
Just
Now let
He
me
allow
been
him
there.
to
He
get to
been there
Grand
three
Basel. You will
times
know whether the
already.
people will turn up.
let me move to
He been
let
there
me
three
move
times
to
already.
now
You
let's go to
forgot.
Mr. Weir, Mr. Jawinkin Weir. Let's talk about the CPP where CPP fixer number two in Anthony
All
or
right.
Charlene Brunskin. Talk to us about that ceremony.
Okay, when it comes to the question of pageantry, then Liberia are going to be the best country in the world. We love celebration. We love everything that had to do with celebration, dancing. We go at that. But that is not a method of leadership. Um, I do not know the vice presidential candidate well, but at least I follow the touchbearer of that party, of that coalition. And one thing I also know is that in most cases, both in Liberia and around the world, voters vote for the head of the ticket. Um, the second person might or might not, especially in our Liberian situation, the presidency has too much power. So the head of the ticket is what the Liberian people vote for. Having said that, I think she was a beautiful choice for Mr. Cummings. I understand that the person he had in mind withdrew that Mr. Maurer just spoke about, or I don't know whether he was desperate to get somebody from Grand Bassa somehow, or I don't know how many people who contended for the vice presidency. I mean, the vice presidential candidate, something for the coalition. But I think I know the father as a lawyer. She's a good upbringing. All I hope for is that in Liberia, our problem in Liberia is the enforcement of our laws. I think we get good books, we got good laws in the book. Our problem has been the enforcement of the laws. So I hope that, in my opinion, whoever wins, even though I do not support Mr. Comey, he's a nice man, and I respect him. I will prefer him than we are any of the candidates, all my people here say. But the party was great, and the way it was playing was great, especially for postponing the naming of the vice standard bearer that allowed many Liberians to wait to see who was that person. That's my take.
Yeah, I like that you brought that point up, and that he gave Liberians the opportunity to anticipate who was going to be instead of announcing it the day they expected him to announce it. But that was a good point. Reverend Addy, let's take you next. Or what do you think about the ceremony that brought that brought fixer number 2 or Charlene Bronskin being announced as the running mate to Ellis Cummings?
I mean, well, I certainly congratulate the ANC folks, Mr. Alexander Cummings, for his
CPP,
choice.
gentlemen, no ANC, that's CPP.
I certainly congratulate Mr. Alexander Cummings and the ANC for their choice.
So wait,
CPP.
so you're not going to say CPP? Oh,
You see, the ANC business is intentional. It's intentional. That's why I keep on reminding you. Hey, CPP.
that's a lie, Reverend. I need to go ahead.
Certainly congratulate Mr. Alexander Cummings and the CPP, ANC, for their selection of Charlene, Councillor Charlene Bromsking. I think it was a great turnout. But let it be very clear, this is not the first time we've had someone from Bassa as the potential president of Liberia. We had Joseph D. Somerville, was elected the 15th vice president to Garrison W. Gibson, and then later by elected under Arthur Barkley.
How
Then
old
we've had
are you that time?
Benny Warner. We had Benny Warner.
How old are you that time?
So
There you go. It's a history. You just have
Oh, no.
um, and then now we had Benny Warner.
Oh, goodness.
We have Benny Wanda, and then we have now Charlene Bromsking as a potential vice president. But of course, as Bishop Hickard stated, in as much as he loves the ticket, they don't have the numbers to win. And that is why we are hoping that Mr. Cummings, who didn't want to be vice president of Mr. Boyka, who personally told me in a town hall meeting that he's willing to serve Liberia in whatever capacity, but then as vice president. So I'm looking forward to, in the next Boyka, Joseph and Jeremiah administration, that he will be a good finance minister, and hopefully he will, be humble enough to receive this appointment. And as well as Mr. Gonglo, who, I quite frankly appreciate his desire to have other people serve. But we can have him serve as justice minister to move Liberia forward. It's going to be a very inclusive government.
So you just want
Thank
to
you.
bring anyhow. It can be vice president or big finance minister, right?
No, but that's what he told me, though. That's what he told me.
You're supposed to bring that much. You need.
No. He told me that he can serve Liberia in any capacity, but not as vice president. So I'm just holding him, to his word. That's what he told me personally. Ask him, Reverend Ade, in a town hall meeting, Zoom, during COVID time.
But he
what
said in government. He said any capacity in government.
Yes, that's what he told me.
No, he didn't tell you in government.
He didn't say.
No.
He said in government.
I am on this national platform. I, Reverend Ade, was told by Mr. Alexander B. Cummings.
Because you're lying. He didn't tell you in government.
Why would I make it up?
Because I heard he say he didn't say in government.
No. Listen to me. He's willing to serve Liberia. I ask him, Mr. Cummings.
In any other capacity.
Please. Were you in the town hall meeting?
I listened to everything.
Which town hall meeting you are talking about?
Philadelphia.
It was not in Philadelphia. This was by Zoom. It was by Zoom when he told me that. But anyway, that
was relayed by LRTN.
No, right. This was Zoom via Facebook. You're trying to gain the story, my brother. But the fact remains that we are very much looking forward to his support. As we secure this victory from this government, who quite frankly cannot run on his own record but as independent. So I'm hoping Chappie Charlie will be around to kind of, if you guys do not cheat, to be able to see us envisage a new Liberia under serious men, not boys, lead this country for a greater good than drug infestation, corruption, proliferation of ghettos, and the whole economy application, extrajudicial killing, sanctions in the government, songs being made against our president to step down, among several other things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. Now let's quickly take Blow J Choppy Charlie,
So
and then
before you go, Derek. So Coffee Adam stop singing religious song now. She's singing Monkey Kanda.
who's that?
That go.
I let
But
her you
I
talk
want to
religion.
know who is the monkey that. But who is the monkey she want to contact? Is it monkey or baboon?
Well, you need to ask her.
She said,
I
she
was
said
just
baboon, right?
Oh, Coffee.
Who? Who you talk? What's the artist you're talking about?
Huh?
The
What's
gospel
the artist?
singer.
Who's that?
Coffee Adams.
Oh,
The gospel singer.
okay. I know
Gospel.
yeah, I know
First time in the history
Let,
of Liberia, they're singing song for the president to contact.
No, they sang it for Do, for Chatila, for everybody. They always
No,
make it so.
man. Listen. No. That's not what I'm talking about. For
I
it to
but
be
let
in
you
video
know what let's take Blow J real quick, and then we'll get
on
back to the
recording,
others.
for them to be singing on recording where you can play it clear. I'm
Blow,
talking about the group chatting. I'm talking about real organized studio produced music. First time history.
Blow J
First,
Choppy
I
Charlie.
need to.
Let's
Since
talk to us
I
about
think.
the CPB ceremony that led to Fixer 2 and Charlene Bronskin being announced. Blow J.
Well, the way I like to look at it, I like to do a comparative analysis with because we're talking about opposition people right now. So I like to look at it from by comparing it with the Squannerer Brigade or the Squannerer team, and to see whether that choice was better than the Squannerer. And in that respect, I see that the choice of Charlene Bromsky says, or some things about Mr. Cummings, is a very bold and daring choice. A choice outside of the political festival that were created by the Squannerer Brigade. Also, the choice speak to tomorrow by choosing a young person, which says that Mr. Cummings is interested in giving young people opportunity to lead the country. And then competence, she is qualified, competent, capable. So it says a lot about the decision making of Mr. Cummings, and it says a lot about the character of that person in terms of comparing them to the choice of the Squannerer number one, Mr. Joseph Barker, who himself is wanting in most of these leadership, the quality we're talking about. And then the decision he makes says that he's trying to take the country backwards. We're not trying to go back to Egypt, and that's why any reasonable person, when comparing the two, in as much as we may not say that Cummings could win these elections, none of the Squannerer team going to win, but we can sufficiently say that that choice at least gave Cummings and the ANC or CPP a little edge over the Squannerer brigade. I think that's what it looks like, and who knows? But the problem is they're going to be facing a bigger political machine in this election, which is PDC and Mr. Weah, and I can only say they're going to be crushed, all the opposition.
Roger, let me stay with you on that comparative analysis. So you're comparing the vice presidential pick from the United Party and that of the CPP. In summary, though,
Sure.
what specifically would you point to that either of those tickets or those picks have over the other? Like, what would you
The,
say? Go ahead.
the whole idea of change,
Hmm.
we've seen somebody who was picked out is not part of the political poison in the country. So that itself is refreshing to see that somebody from outside of the squandering behavior was choosing to contest. And that makes it different. I say that I want to be different than the usual politics in the country. I mean, I'm comparing this with the Unity Party, who has given us complete hypocrisy, sycophancy, and duplicity, and outright lies, deception, dishonesty, all the kind of characteristic negativity you can assign to the United Party ticket, lack of integrity, everything you can assign to it, and no leadership ability. So, we have one side in the opposition that is trying to give us a very dangerous nation wrecking or ticket, and we have one side that is attempting to say we're different. But will it be, we have to listen to the message. The character itself, the personality itself of the choice, to me, is good. But what is the message of transformation? What is our message that make the country better? It's what we now need to look forward to. And maybe when we listen to it, we will be inspired or we may not be inspired.
Thank you, Blojo. Let me bring Bishop Hager in on the comparative analysis discussion on those two picks, vice presidential pick. Bishop Hager, talk to us. Compare those two tickets, JMB and Senator Kuhn, and that of Alexander Cummings and Charlene Bronskin. Talk to us about the youthfulness of both
Why,
tickets.
why, why you want me to compare? Charlene has absolutely no data about her political, how would I say, constituent will vote for her. Jeremiah have been tested. He has the number in NEMA. So I cannot compare. It's like saying day and light. Day
I
and
think
night.
that I think there are areas in which we can compare both tickets. What about the issue of women empowerment? Who do you think is more likely to champion that cause? What about the issue of sexual and gender based violence? What ticket do you think is more positioned to fight against that?
What? We also will talk about a ticket with somebody that sold gasoline and not through his resiliency was able to become one of the richest men in Liberia. He understands what it means to go off full. Charlene, with all the good things that she have achieved in life, already have her life made up. She never went through all the struggle that people Jeremiah
Jerry,
went
can I
on.
ask a question?
Yes, please, Mr. Mawolo.
Two questions.
And please, if were you done? I don't want him to interrupt you with the question. Bishop Hager,
Okay.
were you done?
Are you done?
No, so everybody has their own area of strength, but in terms of deliverable, I think Alexander and Jeremiah Cohn have been tested. He got vote, he get voter, he get a constituent for a challenge, and we respect her. We have nothing bad against her. She has not been tested. Maybe she want to ride on her father political capital. That's fine, but let's see Ottawa would tell us the difference. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Mr. Mawolo. You can come with your question real
All right.
quick.
Let me ask the two questions. Keep on talking about numbers. Even if we want to stoop to that level, as logical people, when we're voting for a leader of a country, we call ourselves educated people. Are we supposed to be talking about numbers or competence? Even if all the fools vote for you, that makes the country better. I mean, it's a shame that we're still in our primitive stage in our country where we keep on talking about numbers instead of competence. Because the numbers aren't going to run the country, as we can see with George Weah.
Mr.
When
Mawolo, you asked, what is the
after they
question?
vote for you and you get there, then what?
Okay, you want me to
They said
answer?
they no
Yeah,
no no.
Mauro,
I'm done with
Yeah,
you.
it's
no,
unfortunate.
let he ask.
I'm done with you.
Let he
Okay,
ask two
Then
questions.
you
He
say,
said two
oh,
questions, Bishop
the
Hager.
man stole gasoline. So is that the new yardstick to measure leadership? That you're supposed to be poor? Poverty that the new yardstick for Liberia's leaders? You think it was a conscious decision that somebody decided to be born in a very poor family? Who wants to be? Who wants to be? Do you know what stages their parents went through before they became to the place where they could afford poverty shouldn't be the yardstick by which we measure anybody. It should be a shame that we are still having people
Are you
that poor.
asking a question?
Yes, I asked you the question already. I say, is poverty the measure by which we determine our leadership?
Thank
Is
you.
it a proud thing now
Bishop
to be
Hagar,
poor?
Well,
Bishop Hagar,
let me
yes,
answer
please
my
go
friend
ahead.
and brother. First of all, I want to let you know everywhere in the world, people are moved by inspirational stories.
Yeah, does it have
People,
to be poverty?
no, no.
Oh, okay.
Even in America here, all over the world, when someone has this unique thing about their background being challenged and they rise above their poverty background and still succeed in life, they
It's
inspire
still
people.
saying poverty.
I just want to
Does
say
it
it's
have
not
to be
only unique to
poverty?
Liberia. It's something that is universally accepted. The second thing about you
By
talk
who?
about the
I
number.
went to school in
Let,
France. If you
Yeah,
tell
let,
anybody
the
you come from
numbers.
that
Let me talk
background,
about
they can't give you
let me
nothing.
tell you
let,
about
no,
numbers.
Mr. Maldo, let him
Uh,
continue.
In Philadelphia, I just gave you Philadelphia. The
mhm.
Republican know they can never win election here because the registered voter 7-1. Democrat, those who put in as Democrat compared to Republican 7-1. So when it comes to Philadelphia, the Republican Party have the data. They know that
That's
here the
ideological
numbers don't
difference.
favor them. So in Liberia, there's nothing wrong with looking at number. Politics, number game. Why are you afraid of
That's
man?
ideological difference. They still will not take a food to put in there just because you're a
But
Democrat.
let me if I can call it jump in here. I think Bishop is debating himself. He's making opposite arguments. On the one hand, he's talking about the Democratic Party. He's not talking about individual. The Democratic Party has the number. The Democratic Party is not an individual, but the Democratic Party is about to feed a candidate. They're not going to feed that candidate only because that person was poor.
Exactly.
They're going to feed that person
You
because
know
of
what you're
other
talking.
quality. Then on the second hand, he's also arguing against himself when he talks about Jeremiah Kuhn as an individual. So you're making an individual argument against an institutional argument and you're reversing at the same time. And this is a classic problem with the squanderers. It's a classic problem. What I call political perversion.
Oh, stop that.
They try to
Stop that.
pervert reality,
I know
and this
you
is how they
let
deceive
people
young
work it.
people.
That
This,
one,
this, is how- this is how they deceive young people and are carrying them around their intellectual
why is
pedophile
this
behavior,
people let all kinds of
fooling
people
young
work?
people and deceiving them. How can you tell that because somebody sold gasoline, they qualify to be president?
Why would you tell somebody because he was
Well,
playing
let me.
football in Clarendon?
We're not.
He
We're
No, that
came
not.
was
from
not a
Listen.
that
nowhere
was
and
not a
then
reason we voted for George Weah. I knew
We were doing.
there was a trap. There's a trap. Let me respond to that. I knew you were going to bring George Weah inside. We did not tell you because George Weah was poor. We said George Weah behaved as a picture. He contributed to his country. He
contributed
contributed
what?
to Lone Star. He gave us
Contributed what?
scholarship.
Don't even
He
go
Now
that
did
this,
many
area.
things.
Don't go that.
this,
Don't
Bloji,
bring
Which,
all the
yeah,
Bloji,
George
that
Weah
was the
stuff. He did
basic.
not
Bloji,
Not because
contribute
he was
Bloji,
anything.
poor.
He did
Bloji,
not
Not because he
contribute
was poor.
anything. He
Bishop
did not
Hagar,
Well,
contribute a
you can
dime.
disagree
Bishop
with
Hagar,
contribution, but there
Bishop
are facts
Hagar,
that he
Bishop
contributed.
Hagar,
He
You can
never
Bishop
disagree with
did
Hagar.
anything
contribution.
good.
I do
You can
not
disagree
want.
with it.
Never
Listen,
contribute.
listen,
Any money
listen,
he
guys.
spent on Lone
Listen,
Star will pay him back. He
listen,
made all the
listen.
money. He
Bishop
do
Hagar,
nothing.
You
Bishop
can
Compare with
Hagar,
all
disagree
the
with that.
African players.
Bishop Hagar,
But we didn't say
Bishop
because
Hagar,
Compare
Georgia
with
was
all the
poor,
African
so
players.
many
You
Bishop
never
presidents.
Hagar.
did a dent in
Listen.
Liberia.
Bloji, Bishop Hagar.
I don't know why I'm.
Let me,
Well,
let me,
show me
let me.
one thing that John Weah did.
No, Bishop Hagar. Let me say this though. I don't want for us to make this conversation about
Let's keep going,
Unity
guys.
Party and CDC. This was a comparative analysis between CPP, Alexander Cummings, and Charlene Bronskin, and that of Joseph Yuma Boaka and Senator Kuhn. So that is the discussion. I don't want it to get to George Weah and the Unity Party, or pick. So now let me bring in. We've run out of time for this segment, anyways. But let me
Yeah.
take you last, Reverend Addy, on this comparative analysis issue. Just 30 seconds. Talk to us. Who has the edge in different specific areas, like in the fight
Yeah,
against
it's only the good.
sexual sexual and gender-based violence in the Union
Can you
of
remind him,
Investigators
Charlene, are your cousin?
in the fight against corruption in women empowerment. Who do you think edged out on these two tickets, Reverend Addy?
Joseph Boyka, obviously. But here are the commonalities. Here are the commonalities.
No, one
It
is
was
different.
the
Jeremiah Kuhn,
One is different. One is
Jeremiah Kuhn is
commonality. They both human beings that are
Jeremiah Kuhn
common
is
enough.
45. Jeremiah Kuhn is 45. Charlene is 44 years old.
No, Charlene is
You are there.
47.
Was she 47 now?
She changed.
Okay.
it's the
Thank you for
47
the
now.
correction. Charlene is 47. Thank you. And Jeremiah Kuhn is 45.
Hmm.
So let's look at experience in government. One has experience in government, the other doesn't. One is a very successful businessman. The other is a very, I don't know the case that she's won, but I would say she is a good lawyer, a successful lawyer. The edge that Jeremiah Kuhn has over Charlene is that he has been on the political scene for some time, has name recognition, and Charlene, quite frankly, runs on the legacy of her dad, and hopefully the Bassa people will gravitate to her.
That what
Unfortunately,
you assume or that
she
what
has
you
not.
know?
Well,
She has not really.
Reverend Addy, let me hold you and
Mr.
ask you a
Mawolo,
question.
Mr. Mawolo, why you keep interrupting me when I'm
I just
dissecting the
asking you
thing?
just so you can answer where you going.
All right, what's your question?
I said that what you assume or that what you know.
Reverend
Well, it is the
Reverend
fact.
Addy,
It has
let me
everything to do with the fact. Does she have
let
experience in
me.
government?
Yes, that's the question I wanted to ask. That's the exact question I wanted to ask you.
She
The
has
experience,
experience with how government runs. She hasn't been corrupt
the
in a corrupt
experience,
government.
the experience in government you're talking about. Are you talking about the experience on the same in the same legislatures that you
Yeah,
personally have
the accused
criticized
of
over
stealing.
years? And it's the experience in government that you have brutally criticized. Is that the experience you're talking
And
about,
the vice
Jeremiah Cole?
chairman of the Ways and Means Committee too.
So
Is that the
obviously
same?
that's not the experience. Obviously that's not the
Okay,
experience I'm talking about.
clarify that.
Can I answer the question? Unfortunately,
Yes, go ahead.
the premise you are drawing is a mischaracterization. The experience I'm talking about is a young man who, because of his commitment to the people of Nima County, they decided that he should run as a representative, having built 116 bedroom hospital, renovating schools to include the
Why didn't
JWPRC,
you
and
say 100
expanding
and
the
what?
markets. 116 bedroom hospital in
You
Nima
sure?
County. The
You
facts
sure?
are clear. So yeah, absolutely, the facts are clear. We have shown it on pictures,
The one
on
that the
TV. The pictures are there.
Ways and Means
We
giving him
we
money for?
Mr. Mawolo, you will allow me to finish. You ask me a question, and I'm giving you what it means. Someone who has a very critical and reputable image in his county, who then petition him to run as a representative,
For serving him
consistent
on
with his
fire?
commitment and contribution to his county. They ask him to run as a senator against the wish of Prince Johnson, and he won.
No, it was not against that. Prince Johnson
Someone who
held his
has a
hand up.
very well. I don't know if I'm being protected by you. Should I give you my protection and you
Yeah,
protect me
please.
when I? Oh,
Please let me
let's put
correct you
let,
fully.
guys. Reverend Addy,
we got
let's go ahead.
to end this session, guys.
We gotta go. We have exhausted the time. But
Go
Reverend Addy,
ahead.
let me let you finish.
So right. So we're talking about a young gentleman whose vision empowered the people of Nima County, from the construction of a 116 bedroom hospital to the renovation of supermarkets and markets, as well as schools, to putting students on scholarship, inconsistent with that of Charlene's record as a personality, not her father's. He's far surpasses her experience in government and contribution to his county compared to hers. Thank you.
Reverend
So what was the
Addy,
legislation he passed for Nima County?
before I close on this though, and this is just my personal observation. When you're speaking on Jeremiah Cohn, you don't seem so enthusiastic about what you're saying. You don't seem passionate on or when Mr. Mawolo was
Mr.
talking about
Moderator,
Charlene
I will
Brown in the
please,
beginning.
Mr.
So
Moderator, don't go there. You better not to measure people enthusiasm level. Why when I'm talking against CDC, you can't evaluate my enthusiasm level.
That,
Don't
no,
go
I'm
there,
saying
please. Don't go there.
first. I'm just stating.
I want to protect my man. Don't go
I'm
there,
just.
area. You want us to measure enthusiasm level now?
The attack
No,
team
listen,
now.
listen.
No, what
The
Preacher
name
Hager,
mentioned.
Mawolo is still looking for ways that he
No,
can come
he
home.
seemed.
And he can come home because his political leader is with us now,
Account with
Magdala
who?
Cooper.
No, I think
What?
Mag-
the
he needs to follow his political leader, Magdala Cooper.
guys,
Look,
it's been a
We got,
very
we,
it's been a very engaging conversation, guys.
any woman
Mr.
who saw
Mawolo,
herself great enough to go
we have
bomb the
exha-
paper Joe, we I know she can't be my political leader.
we have
That
exhausted the
very
time
political
for
leader is talking about now. That very political leader, Mr. Mawolo.
we have exhausted the time for this discussion. But guys, it's been great talking about the topic we had here tonight. But for now, let's take a break. When we come back, we will get right into our icebreaker round, and then we will take a closing remark on this episode, and then we'll draw the curtain to this episode as well. So, but for now, guys, if you're watching us, thank you very much. Let's take a very brief break, and we will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still here watching the Hard Zone, episode 3, episode 9, season 3. And my name is Derek Kelly, and you're here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. As always, I encourage you to please follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. That is the LRT on Live or Liberia Radio and Television Network. It has been a very, very engaging conversation here tonight, and it's time that we transition right into our icebreaker round where we ask questions to our panelists that are separate from the topic or the discussion we had on the episode. So let's have our panelists back, and also to you watching us, you can please respond to the icebreaker round question in the comment section, and we will be sure to highlight that as the show go on. So, guys, the icebreaker question we have here tonight is: who is your all-time favorite public servant in Liberia? All-time favorite public servant in Liberia. So you can tell us that person name, and you can tell us why you chose that person to be your all-time favorite. And you have
Is
30
it time
seconds.
sensitive?
Is it what?
Is it time sensitive?
No, it's just open. You can choose for any
No, I
era.
beg you, man. I beg you, make it time
let it be
sensitive.
for a long time. Don't limit. We can just talk as long as we can.
No. Oh, that's what you meant. I thought
Yeah,
you.
that's what he meant.
No. I'm sorry. It's just 30 seconds. 30 seconds. No.
Oh no, no, I'm not saying the answer. No, I'm talking about the time, the person they're talking about. If the person you want to name, does it matter whether it's 2 years ago or 5 years ago? That's what I'm asking
Oh
about.
yeah, that's what I thought you meant. I didn't. That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah. So it can be for any time period. So. Oh yeah, but if that's what you make, it can be from any time period. So your all-time favorite public servant in Liberia. Let me start with you, Mr. Mawolo.
My all-time favorite will be President William R. Tolbert.
Can
That
you
will be
briefly
my
tell us
all-time
what?
favorite.
Can you
He
briefly tell us what?
revolutionized that country in 9 years' time. He raised the budget, the GDP of that country in 9 years' time. He had that country semi-industrialized in 9 year time. That country functioned. For those who think Liberia never functioned, they were not living that time. Liberia did function during that 9 years of William Howard Tolbert as president. He
Thank you,
he did marvelous job in that country.
thank you very much, Mr. J Mawolo. Now let me take you, Mr. Ja Winkin. Who is your all-time favorite public servant in Liberia? I can almost tell who he's gonna say. Yo. Go ahead.
You can almost say,
I can
well,
almost guess.
um, all time. Well, I think for this one, from history, I will agree with Mr. Mauro. William Arrow Talbot, I have read about him a lot, and I still think about when you say from man to mattress, and a lot of things happen even while I was little. But even I remember in my village, there were a lot of schools that were built through the World Bank in the rural part of the world. I mean, rural part of Liberia. So Taba was really the great man. Taba is the
Yeah.
one who brought about multi-party democracy in Liberia. It was one-party system. It was Taba who changed that. So yes, indeed, he's the man.
Thank you very much. Now let me take you, Reverend Adi. Who's your all-time favorite public servant in Liberia?
Well, I'm very excited that us indigenous people can finally realize that we're misled by the progressives that brought the current degradation we have to our political system. That Wilmar Talbot the Lit tried to build a wholesome functioning society. But I wish more of us can begin to let our people know, and those politicians who try to further divide us, that the Congo people destroyed the country since 1847. A message from seditions all the time.
You know that
But the
black people
best
here, don't
favorite
put out
public,
measure to this.
the best favorite public
Don't see it
servant, the best favorite public servant currently, as never in the history of Liberia, where we had quality education, good hospitals. You used to call the hospital, an ambulance go for you. That is elusive under this administration.
Helicopter
I'm
used to
praying and
land at
hoping.
JFK, bringing people from West Africa for treatment. At JFK.
Exactly. At JFK.
Oh, shit.
While we have this generation that is supposed to be in the 21st century under President George Weah, who's traveled the world, has nothing to emulate from a prolific, well-defined visionary leader as Wilmar Talbot. Instead, we find ourselves in a gangsterized administration, depriving our young boys and girls of a future that he has managed to enjoy from his squandered wealth. Unfortunately, this is where we are. And
And he
that is
wanted
my
spell it to
closing
be taught
statement.
to as the language of like for all Liberians. Spell it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. Now let me take you, Blow J Choppy Charlie. Who is your all-time favorite public
Well, I
servant?
think
I
I
guess it
would
can be
like
said
to
Joseph Wega.
step away from the presidential, but I think I've said that in the past that President William Howard Trouble is the best president ever in the history of Liberia. Even today, his program for no imported rice in Liberia would have been something that would have transformed Liberia to a very productive society. And President Samuel Doe attempted to do the same thing with the Green Revolution, but Joseph Branca, then LPMC managing director and also agriculture minister, squandered.
I let how you set him up, Blow J.
Just like we straight to it. I can't do that way.
Squandered. Branca squandered that opportunity between 1980 and 1985. And Liberia today struggling. We don't have a green revolution, rice production. So indeed, Tory is the best. But I like to look at somebody else, another president. Tory is the best all time. But I just wanted to look at another president, Benjamin J.K. Anderson. I like to elevate Benjamin J.K. Anderson because he was one of the men who really expanded Liberia, the country itself, Liberia, and brought a lot of the other parts of Liberia together. And he's one of the men who has given more history about Liberia than any other president. If you study the expedition of Benjamin J.K. Anderson, you'll understand Liberia better. Because he went through all the country, he wrote, he left from Monrovia, the places he passed, Carisburg, he went to Cape, Bon County, Lofa, all these places he named there, everywhere he went, he took records. Study Benjamin J.K. Anderson, you have a much appreciation of Liberia. So I also want to elevate him and put on the platform.
thank you very much, Blow J Choppy Charlie.
Let me say some, oh, you wanted to do our closing now?
Yes,
Yeah, close yes.
you can say that in your closing. And before I come to you for your closing, I would just like to say my favorite, all time favorite public servants. And though I've read about Tobert, I'm not going to disagree with all of you. But in my lifetime following Liberia politics, the person I would pick is Yeke Koluba. And
Yeah.
you may not like how he deliver his message or how he take his stance, but in my lifetime following liberal politics, I admire the position he takes, how he take on a government that he disagree with, and stand his ground even when people very close to him are not or standing with him. So I really admire that of him. So, but for now, guys, it's been very nice. I appreciate all of your contribution to the show tonight. But before we draw the curtain on this episode and bring in some announcement from our announcement folder, let me take all of you closing remarks, beginning with you, Mr. J. Mawolo.
Yeah. Look, gentlemen, it was a pleasure again, once more to be here on this platform, and enjoy the discussion as usual. Fun and education at the same time. But listen, I think our country, we're in a very bad place. I listen to the young people; they know nothing of what happened in Liberia before 1990. They're completely lost. And this country has a heroic history that we need to be proud of. But because we don't know our history, so we don't know ourselves. And because we don't know ourselves, we're not assured. So we live in a world of low self-esteem and just accept anything. We have gone so low. I mean, to the point where we don't even have to lift our feet to cross over. I mean, it's a shame. It's a disgrace because the Liberia some of us grew up in is too far. I was telling somebody when I was in Liberia a few weeks ago. I said, how come a country 50 years ago were better than the country now? That is totally the reverse of what should be going on anywhere else. I should come home to see Liberia uh, flourishing and let nobody give me any excuse of war because Rwanda fought a worse war than us. So why are we still lagging? And it's all because of us. We sit down and digest foolishness and live it instead of thinking. We refuse to think. We refuse to read. Now the new thing is the popular thing. Who popular? Who everybody know? Who this and that? Forgetting who is most capable. And during those days, this Tauber that we're talking about, that's what it was. I remember in high school, the children used to come from America for student exchange. And they would live with family. As we would come abroad for student exchange and live with family 6 months and go back. I mean, the college education. Do you know the first Nigerian president got educated in Liberia at the University of Liberia?
Yeah, but yeah.
Look, this country was powerful. And to see it like they bring tears to my eyes every time I think about it. Because this country can do far better than it's doing. And we deserve better. I saw those children up and down between the cars. I cried. My first trip from Ravensfield into Monrovia, I couldn't believe what I was saying. And people sit down there and be all right with it. I'm not. And I think Liberia deserves better. And we
Thank you.
must get better. And I think Alexander Cummings and Charlene Bromsky will do it for Liberia if we think right. That's the
Thank
thing
you.
to do it for us.
Thank you very much, Mr. J. Mawolo. And as always, we appreciate your contribution on this show and on this network. Let's now take Blow J Choppy Charlie. Give us your closing remark.
Well, I think if one listen to the passionate discourse by Mauro, one has to reimagine how to not allow people who are nation records to come close to state power. And this is no politics. The fact is, the team of Joseph Barker and his squanderer are all agents who have caused damage to this country. This one is no politics. These were people who are out of war, financial war, state looters, nation breakers, and whatever you can talk about. Interestingly, these very people, the very same things that they were doing that was wrong yesterday, because it is not them. I was right for them yesterday, because it is not them today, it is wrong. We cannot never allow such a group of people to ever come close. These are the people who prey on young minds, and that's why I call them an intellectual pedophile. They prey on young minds, deceive young people, mislead young people, and they have no reflection of history. And it is very important. The legendary Bob Marley said, if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going to. And today, there's something almost like, because of the bad governance behavior, they are refusing to look in the mirror. They don't want to look at the past. They don't want to see where we came from and know what are the problems, so that we can move the country forward. Whenever you bring about the ugly past, you're like, oh, why are you looking at the past? Why should we look there? No nation can develop. That's why in every society, people study history. It's a course that people go to school for to learn it. You must understand the past to know the present and move forward. So, President George Weah transforming the country is a process. Nation building is not overnight. They will continue to transform the country, and we are convinced that George Weah will be re-elected as president come October.
Thank you very much, Lord J. Choppy Charlie. Your contribution on this show is always appreciated. Now let's take Reverend Addy. Give us your closing remark.
My fellow Liberians, I certainly couldn't agree with Choppy Charlie. Nation building takes time. But in whose interest is George Weah nation building? He certainly built 48 houses for himself, while you and your vision languish in the dungeons of poverty and obstruction. We aren't a people of mediocrity. We want a life that is better. But clearly under this president, he is only concerned about his life being better, as evidenced by the monies that he cannot account for, his ministers building houses for themselves and their families, traveling out of your country for 48 days, whilst you civil servants cannot get paid. So he's actually nation building, but for himself, not for you. Hence, you have a choice to make, a decision that must be critical to the very future of just not you working in the government as civil servants, paying your way to go to work when you can hardly get your salaries for 3 to 4 months. It is your decision to make as to whether or not your life is being nation built by the policies of this president. He's building parks, but he cannot pay you to put food on the table, not just for you, but your children. He's nation building for himself. He's traveled again to go watch the ceremony of a country that is by far nation built compared to his administration that is completely nation degenerating under his leadership. He's printed $64 billion and he has not distributed this money to remove the old currency from Liberia. Instead, he is keeping it for elections to buy your votes and temporarily have you eat bag of rice and enjoy another 6 years of poverty under him. That's not the decision you want to be making. We don't hate George Weah, but he's just not capable in leading Liberia to give you a future that you can one day look back and be proud of. 6 more years are too long, the number of years, to allow this administration to continue the rampant corruption, proliferation of ghettos, drug infestation, and construction of homes that are for him and his ministers and the ones who he will elect later on. So I encourage you, make that decision for a greater Liberia. Patriotism above individualism, nationalism above tribalism, and Liberia will rise, and rise it must. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy, and thank you for your contribution on tonight's episode and all of the other episodes you prepare on. Thank you so much. Mr. Jawinkin, let's take you last. Give us your closing remark on this episode.
Okay. Fellow Liberians, Liberia was better before. When I was younger, in the jungle village of Jirepo in the rural Sino County, I never saw Tobot, but things were better under Tobot. Liberia was better. Schools were built. This is how some of us went to school in the jungle villages in rural Liberia. We trekked everywhere we went, but we had hope. The reason was Tobot was an enforcer to the point that he signed the execution of his own brother. That was rule of law. In today's Liberia, what is lacking is rule of law, where those in power believe that they are above the law. They do whatever they want for themselves, not for the Liberian people. We need a patriotism. We need a new day. We need somebody who will be the enforcer of the law that will bring back the glory that Liberia enjoyed under Tubber. Tubber died on the time bomb. Tubber was the only president who allowed Liberians to have multi-party democracy in Liberia. And there is one person in this country now alive in this competition, though he is not popular. I know for those of you listening, you never heard about Tubber, you never saw it, neither did I see as well. But Liberia was better. Many Africans came to Liberia for jobs because we are those who were working earned US dollars. They were not in Liberian money. And the person who can make Liberia to go back to that level is Tiawon Se Gonglo, your bro man. He will be the enforcer of the law. Nobody will be above the law. You talk about development, you talk about any other thing, without the enforcement of the law, we will never be developing Liberia. Liberia can also produce goods. Liberia can also invent. To bring about the blueprint and dream of Tubber, vote Tiawon Se Gonglo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin. It is always a pleasure to have you here on this panel. We appreciate your contribution and what you bring to this discussion. Again, to all of you, thank you so much for appearing on tonight's episode, and I look forward to seeing all of you on our next episode. But until then, let me say thank you all so much for your contribution tonight. And those of you watching to wherever you're watching us from, you have just the announcement left. So after the announcement, after our panelists have left and I give you the announcement, we will draw the curtain to this episode. But thank you so much for being with us on this episode, to all of you esteemed panelists. But we'll take a very brief break. When we come back, we'll bring you the announcement and then call this show a wrap.
Hi, my name is Martha Tomley, owner of Matisia Natural Hair Salon, located on 4405 Chestnut Street. We are specializing in locks for hair, braids, and etc. Call us for all your natural hair needs. You can reach out at 267-703-2330. If you have pictures or videos you want to send us, you can send it to 267-224-0693.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us throughout this show, and it's been very, very, very engaging here. This is the Hot Zone, and that's what we do. We bring you discussions in discussing this issue in the political space in Liberia. So we delivered that tonight, and thank you so much for staying with us right through the entire episode. Again, it's episode 9, season 3 of the Hot Zone. But before we draw the curtain to this one, let me bring you one announcement, and then we will call it a day on this episode. So it's the July 29th, the second annual Liberia Business Expo for 2023, and its date is July 29th, 2023 at the Gwinnett Place Mall. Again, it's the second annual Liberia Business Expo scheduled to be held at July 29th 2023 at the Gwinnett Place Mall. The address is 2100 Pleasant Hill Road or Duluth, G8, between 1 p.m. and 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Vendor spots available for 150, one tent, one table, one chair, and you can register online at at www.libchambersusa.org, or you can call 1-888-439-1507 and dial extension 700 to register for this event. Again, it's the second annual Liberia Business Expo coming up on July 29, 2023 at the Gwinnett Place Mall. 2100 Pleasant Hill Road, Duluth, GA, 1 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget the second annual Liberia Business Expo. That's all of the announcement we have for you tonight, guys. It's been very, very, very nice. Until the next episode, my name is Derek Yale. This is the Hard Zone, and this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. So until our next episode, I do wish you a pleasant, good week, and I will see you here on our next episode. Thank you.
Give me that, give me that, girl, give me that, give me that.
Where's my money?
Stay over there, we talking money business, la money business, chamo la money business. Stay over there, we talking money business, la money business, speaking la money business. Stay over there, we talking money business, la money business, chamo la money business. Be money boy, Ella be boy, the Jew call me Tata. She see the way I throw up the money in the club, now she calling me Papa. Be money boy, Ella be boy, the Jew call me Tata. She see the way I throw up the money in the club, now she calling me Papa. I'm watching you